Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Joining us on the print today is Andhra Pradesh DGP Gautam Sawant. Sir, thank you for speaking to the print. Discussing about the COVID crisis in the state, let's start with the frontline workers, the police force. If you could tell us, you've told me in the first phase, the police force lost more than 100 people to COVID. In the second wave, in the last 2 months, how have the numbers been? How many police personnel did succumb to COVID and how many got infected?
Well, as you rightly said, we had about a casualty figure of 110 during the first phase, and during the second wave, in the last 2 months, we had as many as 70 people who've lost their lives. Now, when you look at the figures, this time around it has been a very quick spread, as we can see outside as well. We had more than 5,000 of our members contracting, getting affected, and fortunately, as we talk today, there's about 2,300 or so active cases, and more than 3,000 have come back to work. So, but we are quite sad that we were not really able to protect and prevent the numbers. But as we see today, there is we can see a visible slump in the number of cases, and we have taken various measures to ensure that our rank and file, they are well protected, and not only protected but also containment within the police ranks, as well as their treatment strategies, and then post-treatment, post-discharge management also is something which we are looking into, and not confining to the police personnel, their rank and file, but also we are taking care of the family members, because we see that in this instance, very frequent infection is spreading from the family members. So, and then if the family gets affected, the police personnel also need to necessarily take care of the family and not available for duty. So therefore, we make sure that the family members are also safe. And we are also taking care of those retired police officers. Right. So police as a frontliners, we are particularly undertaking various measures to make sure that they are well protected and they are in a position to be available on the ground and take care of the public health. Right. So various measures have been put in place.
Right. You know, you've mentioned to me earlier when we were talking about what kind of measures that have been put in, how they've been tracked, the families have been tracked, and former officers are also being tracked. When it comes to vaccination, frontline workers were prioritized. So has all the police force in Andhra Pradesh, are they vaccinated?
I'm proud to say that our vaccination figures are almost touching 98% among the frontliners. We did it in a very systematic fashion. We unfortunately had to postpone that vaccination for about 3 weeks because of the elections which we had. But once that election, there was a gap between the two phases of election. That's the local body elections which we had. We undertook this campaign, and today we are touching about 98%. Right. The first dose. Second dose is ongoing. We are somewhere hovering around 80%. Now, because of the availability of the vaccine, the pace is also slightly slackened. Yeah.
You know, 70 police personnel succumbed to COVID in 2 months. That's a big figure. We're seeing a slump in numbers, especially in the ones who are getting infected. Do you think, Andhra has seen a lot of activity in the last 2-3 months? There were local body elections at different times. Do you think that could also have put a lot of police personnel at risk? Because definitely deployment and work will definitely happen at that time. And they have been on ground at the forefront all the time in law and order since the first wave.
Yeah, I would... of course, I cannot say that it has not, because with the electoral activities, the exposure is higher. Right. And police has to really mingle with the crowd, and we do not know who amongst them are infected. So therefore, we do see that whenever there is a bandobast, and those who come back from the bandobast, the numbers are higher amongst them. Like for example, we also sent quite a few numbers to Tamil Nadu for the Tamil Nadu elections. And once they returned from Tamil Nadu elections, we found among those who attended the Tamil Nadu election, several of them were infected. So it's obvious that when there is an electoral activity, there would be more interaction, interface, and more greater exposure, and along with it comes the greater risk of infections.
Right. Talking about multiple strategies of how this team is trying to keep the personnel safe. We've discussed this. One of them is asking pregnant women at the moment to work from home. The police personnel who are pregnant, female, they work from home. Just tell us a little about that. Do we have an estimation of how many people are there right now, and what is, for a police personnel which requires to be on the ground all the time, how can they manage working from home? What is that strategy like?
Unfortunately, we lost two pregnant women staff members in a very quick succession. And incidentally, both of them were 6 months pregnant, and that led to for us to really sit back, and then we thought that we must protect this section within the police department and not expose them to the extent possible. So they've been asked to work from home. Working from home means, again, they will also be taking calls. They will be doing the data collection, collation, dissemination. It's not that police women working from home means they just sit at home, but they've been given some task where they can do sitting at home. So perhaps on your visit to Prakasham, you can also have a look. What's the kind of work that they're doing on the ground? So we feel that also for the morale and motivation within the ranks, it's necessary that we give an impression and also we give an assurance that we care for our own staff while they are performing their duties and responsibilities.
Right. It has also come to our notice, and the Andhra Pradesh police has also spoken about it, particularly in the Maoist region. Now that the virus had spread to those regions as well, the police had made a statement saying if the Maoists surrender, that they will be open to helping them or providing them treatment when it comes to COVID. So if you could let us, explain a little about that. Any update on that, particularly after the police had given that statement about
it? We do not have anything against them moment they come outside and join the mainstream. So therefore, as part of that consistent stance that we have, we also appeal to them because we hear that many of them are unwell and they have been also exposed to this corona. And the moment they come outside, they would be given all kinds of treatment with regards to their health condition is concerned, and the usual rehabilitation package and program that the government has, we shall extend to them.
So this COVID treatment would be part of that rehabilitation program?
Absolutely. They would be promptly taken care of. So we have given an appeal that they need not suffer in the jungles. They can come outside, they can as well get themselves treated and join the mainstream.
We would be looking at the Oxy War Room that Andhra Pradesh has set up. The state has really struggled with oxygen supply. A lot of other factors involved in that. Police Command Control Room is also tracking down the tankers which are coming to the state. If you could tell us quickly, how many policemen are involved in that? Do they track the tanker all the time from point A to the end of to the part it reaches a destination?
Absolutely. Actually, again, this was arising because of the need. There was a focus and as regards to availability of oxygen right from the place of origin to its destination.
Right.
We are tracking them. We have more than 500 personnel dedicated for them, positioned at various places.
Right.
Positioned in control rooms, positioned in war rooms, positioned on the ground, positioned at the checkpoints. Not only checkpoints, but physically on the grounds. Patrols are there. Then we also have people sitting on those vehicles.
Right.
And then making sure that every mile they are monitored, and not stopping at that. We have also made arrangements of quick repair and retrieval should there be a breakdown anywhere. So we have mechanics in place, we have tow vehicles in place, so we are tracking every mile, every inch, because again it's like a lifeline. People are depending on their lives, are depending. They are gasping for breath. So under these circumstances, it's so important that oxygen should be available. The tankers should reach in time. Tankers should flow unhindered, because in the past there were many instances that tankers being diverted also, or tankers being held up somewhere, or the drivers or themselves, stopping for rest and creating a panic situation and leading to certain unwanted situation as well. So police, we are in a very dedicated manner, very systematically, we are monitoring, tracking and ensuring there is a free flow and passage of these tankers from the point where they are loaded and start from the places where they are filled right to the destination point, and hospitals, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to The Print. Well, that was Andhra Pradesh DGP. Frontline workers have always been vulnerable, especially working during the pandemic, and Andhra Pradesh unfortunately has lost 70 police in the last 2 months. But the DGP says the curve is now flattening and they're seeing a slump in the number of cases that are being infected. Strategies and plan is also in place to make sure that these frontline workers are protected. With Manisha Mondal in Vijayawada, this is Rishika Sadam for The Print.